The alarm bells rang through the council monitoring station like thunder. Deep in space, far from any star, the massive structure hung in the darkness. Inside, thousands of beings from hundreds of different worlds worked together. They all served the same purpose: watching the galaxy for new spacefaring species. Sensor operator Vexhai looked at her screen with 3 of her 4 eyes. The 4th eye stayed focused on her other duties. She was good at her job. She had to be. The Galactic Consensus Council did not accept failure. Contact confirmed, she announced to the bridge. Primitive warp signature detected in Sector 7739. Species designation: human. Location: Sol system, 3rd planet. High Sensor Chief Mordak floated over to her station. His gas-filled body moved smoothly through the air. Confirm the readings, he said in the common tongue that all Council species used. Vexhai checked her instruments again. The readings were clear. A small ship had just broken the speed of light for the first time. It was a big moment for any species. It meant they were ready for contact with the galaxy. Confirmed, Chief. The signature matches standard first-generation warp drives. Very crude, very basic, but functional. Mordak nodded with satisfaction. This was how it always went. Young species built simple warp drives. The Council made contact. The species joined the galactic community in their proper place. Everything had an order. Everything had rules. Send the data to Ambassador Kethvar, Mordak ordered. Tell him we have another integration candidate. 3 days later, Ambassador Kethvar read the report on his flagship. The massive ship was one of hundreds in the Council's first contact fleet. Each ship was a work of art and engineering. They were designed to impress new species. Most young civilizations fell to their knees when they saw such power. Kethvar was old, even by his species standards. He had conducted first contact with over 200 species. He knew how these meetings went. There would be fear, then wonder, then acceptance. The new species would realize how small they were. They would accept their place in the Council's hierarchy. He looked at the data about humans. They were carbon-based. They breathed oxygen. They lived on a single world. Nothing unusual. Their technology was basic. Their society was divided into many small groups, typical for a young species. Set course for Earth, he told his ship's captain. Standard first contact protocol, full diplomatic honors. The fleet moved through space toward the Sol system. 27 ships of different sizes and designs. Each one showed the power and diversity of the Council. It was an impressive sight. It always worked. 2 weeks later, the human ship Pioneer limped back to Earth. Its warp drive was smoking. Its hull showed stress fractures, but Captain Lisa Rodriguez and her crew were alive. They had done it. Humanity had traveled faster than light. The celebration lasted 3 days. Every human on Earth watched the news feeds. Every child learned the names of the brave crew. Humanity was no longer trapped in one star system. Then the Council fleet arrived. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the Orbital Defense Station Olympus. She was the head of Earth's United Space Command. She was also humanity's best hope for surviving whatever was coming toward them. 27 ships, reported her sensor officer. They're not broadcasting any hostile signals, but they're also not using any communication method we recognize. Chen studied the displays. The ships were beautiful. Each one was different. Some looked like living creatures. Others were geometric shapes that hurt to look at. All of them were clearly far beyond human technology. They're slowing down, the sensor officer continued. Moving into formation around Earth. Professional. Coordinated. This isn't their first time doing this. Chen took a deep breath. First contact. Every human had dreamed of this moment. Now it was happening, and she was responsible for how humanity handled it. Open all channels, she ordered. Broadcast on every frequency we know. Tell them we welcome them to our system. Ask them to identify themselves. The response came in perfect English. Greetings, humans of Earth. I am Ambassador Kethvar of the Galactic Consensus Council. We come in peace to welcome you to the galactic community. Please prepare representatives for formal contact. Chen felt her heart racing. They spoke English. They knew about humans. They had been watching. "Tell them we accept their invitation," she said. "I'll represent humanity myself." The meeting took place on Kethvar's flagship. Chen arrived with a small team of Earth's best diplomats and scientists. They were nervous but excited. This was the moment that would change everything. The Council's ship was more amazing than anything humans had imagined. The walls seemed to be alive. The air tasted like flowers and rain. Gravity flowed like water, letting beings of different sizes move comfortably together. Kethvar met them in a great hall. He was tall and thin, with skin that changed colors like oil on water. His eyes were kind but ancient. Behind him stood representatives from dozens of species. Some looked almost human. Others were so strange that Chen's mind struggled to understand them. "Welcome," Kethvar said, spreading his arms wide. "You have achieved faster-than-light travel. This makes you eligible to join the galactic community. We are here to guide you through this process." Chen stepped forward. "We are honored by your visit. We have so many questions. How many species are part of your council? How does your technology work? Can you teach us about the galaxy?" Kethvar paused. Other species usually asked about protection, or trade agreements, or whether they would be allowed to survive. Humans asked about learning. "All will be explained in time," he said carefully. "First, you must understand your place in the galactic order. Earth will become a protected world under Council authority. Your people will be given appropriate technologies. Your leaders will work with Council advisors." Chen frowned. "What do you mean by protected world? And who decides what technologies are appropriate?" Dr. James Park, Earth's top physicist, stepped forward. "Can you show us how your faster-than-light communication works? Our theories suggest it should be impossible, but obviously you found a way." "And your gravity manipulation," added Engineer Maria Santos. "The math alone must be incredible. Are you using exotic matter? Or have you found a way to manipulate space-time directly?" Kethvar felt something he had not experienced in centuries. Confusion. These humans were not reacting correctly. They showed no fear. No awe. They were asking technical questions like equals. "These matters are complex," he said slowly. "Your species will learn what it needs to know when it is ready." Chen's frown deepened. "When we're ready? Who decides that? We've just achieved faster-than-light travel. We've unified our planet. We've solved most of our resource problems. What more do we need to prove?" "Admiral Chen," Kethvar said, using his most patient voice. "Please understand. The Council has guided galactic civilization for millions of years. We know how to integrate new species safely. Trust in our experience." "Trust is earned," Chen replied, "and integration sounds like a fancy word for control. We appreciate your offer, but we'd prefer to learn about the galaxy as partners, not subjects." The other Council representatives exchanged glances. This was not going according to protocol. Young species did not negotiate. They did not ask for partnerships. They accepted their place and were grateful for protection. Kethvar tried again. "Perhaps you do not understand the dangers of unguided development. The galaxy contains threats beyond your imagination. Only through Council protection can Earth survive." "Then teach us to defend ourselves," Chen said simply. "Share your knowledge. Let us contribute our own ideas. Surely the galaxy is big enough for cooperation instead of control." For the first time in his long career, Ambassador Kethvar did not know what to say. These humans were unlike any species he had encountered. They showed respect but no deference. They asked for knowledge, not protection. They wanted to be partners, not clients. The meeting ended with polite words and scheduled follow-up discussions. But as the humans returned to Earth, Kethvar knew something had changed. For the first time, the Council's integration protocol had failed. He sent a priority message to the Council headquarters. The humans, he wrote, were not following expected patterns. They might require a different approach. He had no idea how different things were about to become. 6 months had passed since first contact. Ambassador Kethvar sat in his private chambers aboard the flagship, staring at reports that made no sense. Each document told the same impossible story. Humanity was not following the rules. The integration protocol was simple. It had worked for thousands of species over millions of years. New species received basic council technology. They used it exactly as designed. They accepted their position in the galactic hierarchy. They stopped asking difficult questions. Humans did none of these things. Kethavar picked up the latest report from the Council's technology monitors. 3 weeks ago, they had given Earth a standard gravity manipulation device. It was a simple tool, used for moving heavy objects. Every species had received the same device. Every species had used it the same way, except humans. Dr. Marcus Webb's team at Luna Research Station had taken the device apart within hours. They studied every component. They mapped every energy flow. Then they built something new. Their version was smaller. It used less power. It could manipulate gravity in ways the original designers never intended. Somehow they had improved on technology that had remained unchanged for 10,000 years. Impossible, muttered Kethavar's science advisor Zethul. They barely understand quantum mechanics. How can they improve our designs? Kethavar read the next report. It was worse. Captain Elena Vasquez had modified her ship's council-gifted hyperdrive. The modifications should have destroyed the ship. Instead, her vessel was now traveling at speeds that violated known physics. She had not asked for permission. She had not followed safety protocols. She had simply seen a way to make things better and done it. "Sir," said his communications officer, "we're receiving another message from Admiral Chen." Kethavar sighed. Chen sent daily messages. Most were polite questions about council technology. Some were proposals for joint research projects. A few were invitations for council scientists to visit human facilities. No species had ever invited council scientists to study their technology. There was never anything worth studying. "What does she want this time?" Kethavar asked. "She says Dr. Webb has developed a new alloy. She wants to share the formula with council metallurgists. She thinks it might be useful for our ships." Kethavar felt his head begin to ache. Humans kept trying to give technology to the council. It was backwards. It was wrong. It made no sense. "Send the standard response," he said. "Thank them for their offer. Tell them we will review it through proper channels." But privately, Kethavar had already sent samples of human innovations to the council's best scientists. The results were disturbing. Human technology was not just different. In many ways, it was better. Dr. Webb's alloy was lighter and stronger than anything in the council's databases. Captain Vasquez's hyperdrive modifications should be impossible, but they worked. Human scientists were publishing theories that challenged fundamental council knowledge. Worst of all, humans were asking questions that no one had ever thought to ask. On Earth, Admiral Chen was having her own problems. The Council's integration protocol assumed humanity would accept their assigned role without question. But humans had never been good at accepting assigned roles. "They want us to stop exploring beyond our solar system," reported her aide, Colonel Harrison. "Ambassador Kethavar says it's for our own safety." Chen laughed, but there was no humor in it. "They're worried about our safety? We've been exploring dangerous places since we climbed down from trees. It's what we do." "There's more," Harrison continued. "They've designated certain areas of space as off-limits to human ships. They call them restricted zones. No explanation given." Chen studied the star charts on her desk. The restricted zones covered some of the most interesting astronomical phenomena in the local area. Black holes, neutron stars, ancient stellar formations. "Of course they're off-limits," she said. "Those are exactly the places we most want to explore." "Admiral," Harrison said carefully, "maybe we should consider their warnings. They've been exploring space for millions of years. They might know something we don't." Chen looked up at him. "Colonel, in my experience, when someone tells you not to look at something, that's exactly what you should look at first." 3 days later, the human exploration ship Curiosity launched toward the nearest restricted zone. Captain David Kim commanded a crew of volunteers. They all knew they were breaking council rules. None of them cared. The restricted zone contained the remnants of an ancient battle. Huge metal structures drifted in space. Some were clearly ships. Others were too strange to identify. Council warnings had labeled the area as contaminated with dangerous radiation. Curiosity's sensors found no dangerous radiation. They found something much more interesting. "Captain," reported Science Officer Dr. Lisa Chen, "these structures aren't random debris. They're arranged in patterns, almost like a message. Kim moved closer to the science station. What kind of message? I'm not sure yet. But the mathematics are incredible. Whoever built this had a completely different understanding of space and time. Dr. Chen worked for 18 hours straight. Slowly, a picture emerged. The ancient structures contained data, information about physics, history, technology that made even council science look primitive. Captain, she said finally, I think we've found records of the people who came before the council, the ones they call the predecessors. Kim felt his heart racing. The predecessors were myth, legend. The council insisted they had never existed. Are you sure? He asked. I'm sure. And Captain, I think they're still here. On the council flagship, alarms began ringing. Long-range sensors had detected human activity in a restricted zone. Not just any restricted zone, the one containing predecessor artifacts. Kethvar rushed to the command center. Report, he ordered. Human ship Curiosity has entered the void sector, reported his tactical officer. They've been there for 22 hours. 22 hours? Kethvar felt cold. No ship had ever survived more than 6 hours in the void sector. The predecessor artifacts were dangerous. They changed anyone who came too close. Sir, the communications officer called out. We're receiving a transmission from Curiosity. Put it through, Kethvar said, expecting to hear screams or madness. Instead, he heard Captain Kim's calm voice. Council flagship, this is Curiosity. We've made an incredible discovery. The predecessors left a complete database of their civilization. We've learned so much. When can we schedule a meeting to share this information? Kethvar stared at the speaker. Share information? About the predecessors? It was impossible. It was dangerous. It was exactly what humans would do. Curiosity, he transmitted back. You must leave that area immediately. The artifacts are extremely dangerous. Actually, they're quite safe once you understand them, Kim replied. The predecessors were fascinating people. Did you know they had a completely different approach to faster-than-light travel? Instead of punching holes in space, they convinced space to move them. Much more elegant. Kethvar closed the channel and turned to his science advisor. Zethul, how is this possible? Every species that has encountered predecessor artifacts has been destroyed or driven mad. Zethul's tentacles writhed with confusion. I don't know, sir. Perhaps humans are somehow immune to the effect. Or perhaps, said Kethvar slowly, humans don't see the artifacts as dangerous. They see them as puzzles to solve. 2 hours later, Curiosity emerged from the void sector. Their ship was not only intact, it had been improved. Predecessor technology had been integrated into human systems. The modifications should have been impossible. They worked perfectly. Captain Kim transmitted his full report to both Earth and the Council. The data packet contained enough information to revolutionize galactic science. It also contained something more disturbing, proof that the Council had been wrong about the predecessors. They had not been destroyed by war or disaster. They had simply moved on, evolved beyond the need for physical existence, left their knowledge behind for whoever was ready to find it. The Council had found the artifacts millions of years ago. They had declared them too dangerous to study. They had hidden them away and forbidden access. Humans had found the same artifacts and made friends with them. Admiral Chen received Captain Kim's report at the same time as the Council. She read it twice, then called an emergency meeting of Earth's leadership. The Council has been hiding this for millions of years, she told the assembled leaders. They've been letting the galaxy stagnate while sitting on technology that could solve every problem we face. Maybe they had good reasons, suggested Secretary of Science Dr. Patricia Wong. Maybe, Chen agreed. Or maybe they were just afraid of change. President Maria Santos leaned forward. What do you recommend, Admiral? I recommend we stop asking for permission, Chen said. We explore where we want to explore. We research what we want to research. We make our own decisions about what's safe and what's dangerous. The Council won't like that, President Santos warned. Chen smiled. The Council doesn't seem to like anything we do. At least this way, we'll be disappointing them while learning something useful. On the Council flagship, Kethvar was composing the most difficult report of his career. How could he explain to the High Council that humanity was beyond their control? How could he admit that their integration protocol had completely failed? Humans were not accepting their assigned place. They were not following Council guidance. High Counselor Zephyrus had ruled the galactic consensus for over 50,000 years. In all that time, she had never called an emergency session of the full Council. Today was different. The Great Chamber contained representatives from all 847 member species. Some attended in person. Others appeared as holograms from across the galaxy. All of them were confused and worried. Zephyrus floated above the assembly in her crystalline life support chamber. Her ancient voice reached every corner of the vast room. We face an unprecedented situation. Ambassador Kethavar's report has been verified by multiple sources. The human species is not responding to our integration protocols. Murmurs filled the chamber. The integration protocols had never failed. Not once in millions of years. The details are disturbing, Zephyrus continued. Humans have ignored our technology limitations. They have entered restricted space. They have made contact with predecessor artifacts. Most concerning, they have shared their discoveries with other species without Council approval. The murmurs became louder. Sharing technology without approval was forbidden. Only the Council decided which species received which technologies. It was how they maintained order. Council member Vorthak of the Hegemony raised a metallic tentacle. High Counselor, perhaps we simply need to be more firm with them. A show of force might convince them to accept their proper place. That option has been considered, Zephyrus replied. However, recent events have complicated the situation. She activated the chamber's main display. It showed a star map of human space. Red dots marked human colonies that had appeared seemingly overnight. In the past 6 months, humans have established settlements in 17 star systems. They have done this without Council permission and using technologies we do not understand. The chamber erupted in chaos. 17 colonies in 6 months was impossible. Young species barely managed one colony in their first decade of space travel. How? Demanded Council member Zalith of the Commerce Guild. Their technology is primitive. Their ships are barely faster than light. That was true 6 months ago, Zephyrus said. It is no longer accurate. Human ships now travel at speeds that should be impossible. They use hybrid technologies combining their innovations with predecessor knowledge. She changed the display to show recent intelligence reports. More concerning, humans are making direct contact with other species throughout the galaxy. They are bypassing Council authority and establishing independent relationships. The implications hit the chamber like a physical blow. For millions of years, all galactic contact had gone through the Council. It was their most fundamental rule. Council member Keth Hun of the Military Directorate stood up. His forearms gestured angrily. This cannot be allowed to continue. If other species begin acting like humans, our entire system will collapse. Agreed, said Zephyrus, which brings us to the purpose of this session. We must decide how to handle the human problem. For the next 10 hours, the Council debated. Some members wanted to negotiate. Others preferred economic pressure. A few suggested simply ignoring humanity and hoping they would go away. Finally, Kethun spoke what many were thinking. We are avoiding the obvious solution. The humans must be contained by force. It is the only way to preserve galactic order. The chamber fell silent. Military action against a spacefaring species was almost unthinkable. It had not happened in over 50,000 years. You are suggesting war? Asked Council member Yathara of the Science Collective. I am suggesting correction, Kethun replied. A limited military action to demonstrate Council authority. Once humans understand our power, they will accept their proper place. Zephyrus considered this. The Hegemony fleet was the most powerful force in the galaxy. No species had ever successfully resisted it. Surely humans would be no different. Very well, she said finally. Council member Kethun, you are authorized to assemble a containment fleet. Your mission is to confine humans to their original solar system and compel their compliance with Council authority. The vote was unanimous. Even the peaceful species agreed that humanity had gone too far. Kethun bowed formally. I will not fail you, High Counselor. The human problem will be resolved within 1 standard month. 3 weeks later, the Hegemony containment fleet assembled at the edge of human space. 200 warships of various designs. Each one was a masterpiece of Council technology. Together they represented enough firepower to destroy entire star systems. Admiral Korvex commanded the fleet from his flagship Divine Retribution. He was a veteran of dozens of conflicts. He had never been defeated. He expected this mission to be routine. All ships report ready, announced his tactical officer. Excellent, Korvex replied. Begin the advance. Transmit the ultimatum as we approach the first human system. The fleet moved toward the Centauri system, humanity's newest and largest colony. The ultimatum was simple: surrender immediately or face destruction. The human response came within minutes. It was transmitted by Admiral Sarah Chen from her flagship Defiance. Admiral Korvex, this is Admiral Chen of the United Human Fleet. We receive your ultimatum. We reject it. If you want a fight, you'll get one. But remember, you started this, Korvex laughed. The human fleet numbered less than 50 ships. They were outnumbered 4-1. Their technology was inferior. The battle would be over quickly. All ships, he ordered, advance to engagement range. Prepare to disable human vessels. Try to minimize casualties. We want survivors to spread word of Council power. The first shock came when the human fleet did not retreat. Every other species had run when faced with overwhelming odds. Humans moved forward to meet the attack. The second shock came when the battle began. Human ships fought unlike anything Korvex had ever seen. They used tactics that made no sense but somehow worked. They coordinated through methods his sensors could not detect. They adapted their strategies in real time. Worst of all, they seemed to be enjoying themselves. "Sir," reported his tactical officer, "we're losing ships. The humans are targeting our command and control systems with impossible accuracy." Korvex studied his displays. It was true. Human weapons were finding weak points in Council shields. Their ships were moving in patterns that confused Council targeting systems. "How are they doing this?" he demanded. "Unknown, sir. Their tactics don't match any known military doctrine." The battle raged for 6 hours. When it ended, the hegemony fleet was in full retreat. They had lost 47 ships. The humans had lost 12. More shocking than the casualties was what happened during the battle. Human ships had rescued Council survivors. They had provided medical aid to damaged enemy vessels. They had broadcast offers of assistance on open channels. As divine retribution limped away from Centauri, Korvex received a personal message from Admiral Chen. "Admiral Korvex, this is Admiral Chen. I hope your wounded are recovering well. We've prepared detailed medical files for your species in case you need them. We're sending care packages for your injured crew members." She paused, then continued. "We really are sorry it came to this. We wanted to be friends. But if you insist on trying to cage us, you're going to learn that humans have never been good at staying caged." The message ended with something unprecedented. An invitation. "When you're ready to talk as equals instead of trying to conquer us, we'll be here. We have coffee and chocolate. Both are much better than fighting." Korvex stared at the message for a long time. In his centuries of military service, no enemy had ever sent him care packages. No defeated foe had ever offered friendship. He was beginning to understand why humans were so dangerous. They did not fight to destroy. They fought to protect their freedom. And when the battle was over, they still wanted to be friends. While the hegemony fleet retreated, human ships were already moving to the next phase of their plan. They had known this battle would come. They had prepared for it, not by building more weapons, but by building more relationships. Human exploration ships appeared in systems across the galaxy. Not to attack, but to make contact. They carried gifts instead of weapons. They offered partnership instead of conquest. Species that had been under Council control for millennia suddenly had a choice. They could continue following Council rules, or they could talk to the strange new humans who treated everyone as equals. Many chose to talk. The Zeridian Republic had been a Council client state for 10,000 years. They were peaceful traders who had never questioned Council authority. When a human ship arrived in their system, they were curious but cautious. Captain Maria Santos met with Prime Minister Veltar in the traditional Council manner. With formal protocols and careful hierarchy, Santos ignored all of it. "Hi there," she said, extending her hand. "I'm Maria, nice to meet you. We've heard great things about your trading networks. Want to compare notes?" Veltar was shocked. Council representatives never introduced themselves so casually. They never asked about local expertise. They certainly never wanted to compare notes. "You want to learn from us?" Veltar asked. "Of course," Santos replied. "You've been trading for thousands of years. We've been doing interstellar commerce for about 6 months. We could use some advice." It was the beginning of a conversation that would last for days. Santos shared human innovations in Manaphy. The emergency alert reached every Council facility in the galaxy at the same time. Priority 1, Galactic security threat. All available forces to respond immediately. High Counselor Zephyrus had not slept in 3 days. The reports kept coming, each one worse than the last. Human ships were appearing everywhere, not attacking, not conquering, just talking. And everywhere they talked, Council authority weakened. Status report, she demanded as her advisors gathered in the crisis chamber. Council member Yathara activated the main display. The galaxy map showed red warning indicators scattered across dozens of sectors. 47 species have now made direct contact with humans. 12 have formally requested renegotiation of their council membership terms. 3 have declared themselves independent. Zephyrus felt her ancient hearts beating faster. Independence. The word was forbidden. No species had declared independence from the council in over 1 million years. The Altarian Collective was the first. Yathara continued. They announced yesterday that they no longer recognize council authority over their internal affairs. They claim humans have shown them a better way. What better way? Demanded Kethun. Chaos? Disorder? The collapse of everything we have built? They say humans have taught them that different does not mean inferior, Yathara replied quietly. They want to be partners, not subjects. The chamber fell silent. Partnership implied equality. Equality destroyed hierarchy. Without hierarchy, the council system could not function. How many human ships are we tracking? Zephyrus asked. Unknown, admitted Intelligence Director Morthal. They appear and disappear without using detectable FTL signatures. Their ships seem to be using some kind of quantum displacement technology. Predecessor technology, Keth-Hun said angrily. They are using weapons of the ancients against us. Actually, Morthal said carefully, our analysis suggests they are not using weapons at all. Every human vessel we have encountered has been equipped for exploration, trade, or rescue operations. None carry significant armaments. Zephyrus stared at him. No weapons? How did they defeat the containment fleet? They outthought us, Keth-Hun admitted reluctantly. Their tactics were unconventional, creative. They used our own assumptions against us. Sir, interrupted a communications technician, we're receiving a priority transmission from the Viridian system. Put it through, Zephyrus ordered. The image that appeared showed Governor Kent Yule of the Viridian Council outpost. He looked tired and defeated. High Counselor, he said, I must report a complete breakdown of authority in my sector. 3 human ships arrived yesterday. They have not threatened anyone. They have not demanded anything. But everything is falling apart. Explain, Zephyrus said coldly. They set up what they call a cultural exchange fair in orbit around Verity Prime. Species from across the sector have come to participate. They are trading technologies, sharing art, discussing philosophy. No one is asking for council permission. No one seems to care about proper protocols. Kenthul's image flickered as his transmission was interrupted by background noise. What is that sound? Zephyrus asked. Music, Kenthul replied miserably. The humans brought something called a jazz ensemble. 17 different species are trying to learn how to play together. It is the most beautiful and terrifying thing I have ever witnessed. The transmission ended. Zephyrus turned to her advisors. Music. They are destroying galactic order with music. It's not just music, Yathara said softly. They're showing other species that cooperation can be voluntary. That diversity makes things stronger, not weaker. That you don't need someone in charge to make good things happen. Heresy, Keth-Hun declared. Without proper authority, there is only chaos. Then why, asked Yathara, is every system the humans visit becoming more prosperous, more innovative, more peaceful? Before anyone could answer, another alert came through. This one made Zephyrus's blood turn cold. High Counselor, the technician announced, we're receiving reports of mass resignations from council administrative positions. Thousands of beings are leaving their post to join what they're calling the human way. The human way. As if humanity had created some kind of philosophy that others wanted to follow. As if the council's millions of years of experience meant nothing. Where are they going? Zephyrus asked. Everywhere, sir. Human ships are offering passage to anyone who wants to explore new possibilities. They're not recruiting. They're just available. Zephyrus realized with growing horror that humanity was not trying to conquer the galaxy. They were doing something far more dangerous. They were offering it a choice. On the human ship Discovery, Captain Elena Vasquez was having the best day of her life. Her ship was currently hosting delegates from 12 different species. They were all working together on a project that should have been impossible. "The quantum resonance frequency needs to be adjusted," said engineer Zilmath of the crystalline hegemony. "My people's calculations suggest a 3.7% increase would optimize the field harmonics." "I agree," replied Dr. Kim Tanaka, the human physicist leading the project. "But we also need to account for gravitational variance. The Altarian orbital mechanics equations might help." Princess Velshira of the Altarian Collective activated her datapad. "My scientists ran those calculations yesterday. Here are the results." Vasquez watched in amazement as beings from across the galaxy worked together. 3 months ago, these species had barely been allowed to communicate with each other. Council protocols required all interspecies contact to go through official channels. Now they were collaborating on cutting-edge research, sharing their unique knowledge freely. "Captain," called out Communications Officer Leltair Park, "we're getting a transmission from the Council fleet." Vasquez moved to the communications station. "Which fleet?" "All of them, sir. It looks like they're assembling every available warship. Thousands of vessels. The largest military force in galactic history." Through the bridge windows, Vasquez could see the peaceful scene around her ship. Scientists from different worlds working together. Children from various species playing games they had invented together. Artists creating collaborative works that combined aesthetic traditions from dozens of cultures. "They're coming to stop this," she realized. "Yes, sir. Admiral Chen is requesting immediate conference with all human ship commanders." The holographic meeting brought together every human captain in space. Admiral Chen appeared tired but determined. "Everyone knows why we're here," she began. "The Council has assembled a massive fleet. They're coming to force the galaxy back into their old patterns. The question is, what do we do about it?" Captain Santos of the Friendship spoke first. "We could run, scatter across the galaxy, make it impossible for them to find us all. We could fight," suggested Captain Rodriguez of the Endeavor. "We proved at Centauri that we can hold our own." "Both options miss the point," said Vasquez. "This isn't about us anymore. Look around. Every species in the galaxy is watching to see what happens next. If we run or fight, we're just proving that the Council's way is the only way." Chen nodded slowly. "What are you suggesting?" "We do what we've always done," Vasquez replied. "We show them a better way." 2 days later, the Council fleet arrived at the edge of the Viridian system. Admiral Corvex commanded from his new flagship Final Authority. Behind him came the largest military force ever assembled. 3,000 warships representing every major Council species. "All vessels report ready," announced his tactical officer. "Good," Corvex replied. "Transmit the ultimatum to all human ships. They have 1 hour to surrender unconditionally." The human response came immediately. It was broadcast on all frequencies in every known language. "Admiral Corvex, this is Admiral Chen. We receive your ultimatum. We reject it, but we invite you to see what you would be destroying before you attack." "Sir," reported the sensor officer, "I'm detecting massive energy readings from the center of the system. It's not weapons. It's something else." Corvex looked at his main display. The energy signature was unlike anything he had ever seen. It was beautiful, complex, harmonious. "What are they doing?" he asked. The answer came from an unexpected source, a transmission from Governor Kenthul. "Admiral, you must see this. They're not building weapons. They're building something magnificent." Against all protocol, Corvex activated his ship's main viewer. What he saw changed everything. In the space around Verity Prime, hundreds of ships from dozens of species were working together. They were constructing something that had never existed before, a joint research station designed by every participating civilization. It was not just the station that amazed him. It was the cooperation. Species that had been enemies for millennia were working side by side. Beings who had never been allowed to communicate were sharing their deepest knowledge, and orchestrating it all were the humans. Not commanding, not controlling, simply facilitating, asking questions, suggesting connections, making sure everyone had a voice. "Admiral," his communications officer said quietly, "we're receiving thousands of messages from across the galaxy. Other species are demanding to know why we're threatening this project." Corvex realized with growing dread that the Council faced an impossible choice. They could attack and destroy the most beautiful example of galactic cooperation in history. Or they could retreat and admit that their authority was finished. High Counselor Zephyrus stood alone in her private chamber, watching the galaxy tear itself apart. Not through war or violence, but through something far more dangerous: hope. The reports covered her desk like fallen leaves. Every day brought news of another species declaring independence. Another council facility abandoned. Another world choosing the human way over millions of years of established order. Her aide, Zelphos, entered quietly. "High Counselor, the emergency session is ready to begin." Zephyrus did not move. "How many more today?" 17 species have formally withdrawn from Council authority. 43 others have requested autonomy negotiations. The Hegemony fleet is reporting mass desertions. 17 in one day. At this rate, the Council would lose half its members within a year. "And the humans?" she asked. "Still refusing to fight us," Zelphos replied. Admiral Chen sent another invitation for peace talks. She included recipes for something called chocolate cake and asked if you had any food allergies. Zephyrus finally turned around. In 50,000 years of rule, no one had ever asked about her food allergies. The question was so absurd it made her want to laugh. Or scream. "Tell the Council I will be there shortly," she said. The emergency session was chaos. Representatives argued in dozens of languages. Some demanded immediate military action. Others suggested negotiation. A few had clearly given up entirely. Zephyrus took her place at the center of the assembly. The noise gradually died down. "The situation is clear," she began. "The galactic order we have maintained for millions of years is collapsing. The question is, what do we do about it?" Council member Kethan rose angrily. "We fight. We use the full power of the remaining loyal fleets to crush this human rebellion before it spreads further." "And then what?" asked Council member Yathara. "Destroy every species that has tasted freedom. Genocide half the galaxy to maintain our authority, if necessary," Kethan replied coldly. The chamber erupted. Some representatives supported him. Others were horrified. The council was fracturing before Zephyrus's eyes. "Silence," she commanded. The chamber slowly quieted. "Council member Kethan, your proposal is noted. However, there is a practical problem. Our own intelligence reports indicate that 60% of our military forces have defected to human allied systems. We no longer have the power to enforce galactic submission." The admission hit the chamber like a bomb. For the first time in galactic history, the council was militarily weak. "How is that possible?" demanded Trade Minister Zorthal. "Simple," said Intelligence Director Morthal. "Our soldiers are choosing to leave, not through coercion or bribery. They are simply deciding that they want to serve something more inspiring than maintaining order." "Inspiring?" Kethun spat. "What is inspiring about chaos?" Before anyone could answer, the chamber's communication system activated. An image appeared showing Admiral Chen aboard her flagship. "Honorable council members," she said with a respectful bow, "I apologize for interrupting, but I wanted to extend a personal invitation." The chamber fell silent. Chen was broadcasting to the heart of council power without permission. It should have been impossible. "In 3 days, we will be dedicating the Viridian Collaboration Station. It will be the galaxy's first truly multi-species research facility. Scientists from over 200 worlds are participating. They've made incredible discoveries working together." She paused, looking directly at the camera. "We would be honored if council representatives would join us. Not as rulers or subjects, but as partners. The universe is big enough for all of us to explore together." The transmission ended. The chamber remained silent for a long time. Finally, Yathara spoke. "She invited us. After everything we have done, she invited us to participate." "It's a trap," Kethun declared. "They want to humiliate us publicly." "No," said a quiet voice from the back of the chamber. "They want to include us." Every head turned. The speaker was Council Member Velthon of the Archive Keepers. He was ancient even by council standards and rarely spoke during sessions. "Velthon," Zephyrus said, "please explain." The old being floated forward. "I have been studying human behavior for months. They do not think like us. When we see competition, they see collaboration. When we see hierarchy, they see diversity. When we see threats, they see opportunities." He activated a small holographic display. "Look at their actions. They have defeated our fleets, but they rescue our wounded. They have broken our laws, but they share their discoveries freely. They have destroyed our authority, but they invite us to join them. What are you saying? Zephyrus asked. I am saying that perhaps the humans are not trying to replace our system with their own. Perhaps they are trying to replace systems entirely, to create something where no one is in charge because everyone is responsible. The idea was so alien that half the council could not even comprehend it. A galaxy without central authority, without hierarchy, without someone to make the decisions and enforce the rules. Impossible, Kethun said. Without authority, there is only chaos. Is there? Velthon asked gently. Every report we receive says the opposite. Human-influenced systems are more prosperous, more innovative, more peaceful than they have ever been. Perhaps what we call chaos, they call freedom. 3 days later, the Viridian Collaboration Station was officially dedicated. Beings from across the galaxy attended the ceremony. It was broadcast on every inhabited world. High Counselor Zephyrus watched from her chamber. She had not attended. Neither had most of the council. But millions of their former subjects had. The station was beautiful. Not in the sterile, controlled way of council architecture, but in a wild, organic way that seemed to grow from the dreams of every species that had helped build it. Admiral Chen spoke to the assembled crowd. Her words were simple and direct. This station represents something new in the galaxy. Not human ideas or council traditions, but a mixture of everyone's best thinking. We built it together because we believe the universe is too big and too wonderful for anyone to explore alone. She gestured to the diverse crowd around her. We don't need to agree on everything. We don't need to look the same or think the same. We just need to be curious about what we might accomplish together. The ceremony continued with demonstrations of collaborative research. Scientists who had never been allowed to work together were making discoveries that neither species could have achieved alone. Art projects that combined aesthetic traditions from dozens of worlds. Music that wove together harmonic structures no single species had imagined. Technologies that emerged from the intersection of different approaches to the same problems. It was, Zephyrus realized, everything the Council had tried to prevent. Uncontrolled contact between species, unregulated sharing of knowledge, unpredictable cultural fusion, and it was magnificent. High Counselor, Zelphos said quietly, you have a private message from Admiral Chen. Zephyrus activated her personal communicator. Chen's face appeared, but this time she looked tired and vulnerable. High Counselor Zephyrus, she began. I wanted to speak to you directly, person to person, not leader to leader. She paused, gathering her thoughts. I know we've caused you a lot of problems. That wasn't our intention. We're not trying to destroy the Council or hurt anyone. We're just trying to live the way that makes sense to us. Chen looked directly into the camera. The truth is, we could use your help. You have millions of years of experience governing a galaxy. We're just figuring things out as we go. Maybe together we could create something better than either of us could manage alone. The message ended with an attachment, detailed plans for integrating council expertise into the collaborative model. Not as rulers, but as advisors, mentors, partners. Zephyrus stared at the plans for hours. They were brilliant. They addressed every concern she had about galactic stability, while preserving the freedom that humans valued so highly. More importantly, they treated the Council with respect, not as an enemy to be defeated, but as an ancient institution with valuable wisdom to contribute. Zelphos, she called. Yes, High Counselor. Schedule a private meeting with Admiral Chen, just the two of us. Informal setting. Shall I inform the other council members? Zephyrus thought about that. The other council members would try to stop her. They would demand formal protocols and official positions. They would turn a conversation into a negotiation. No, she said finally. Some conversations are too important for committees. The meeting took place on neutral ground, a small research station in unclaimed space. Zephyrus arrived with minimal escort. Chen came alone. They met in a simple conference room with no cameras or recording devices, just two beings trying to understand each other. Thank you for coming, Chen said. I wasn't sure you would. Neither was I, Zephyrus admitted. But I had to ask, what do you really want? Chen smiled. To explore the universe. To learn new things. To meet interesting people and find out what amazing stuff we can create together. That's it. That's really all we want. And government? Authority? Control? Those are tools, Chen replied. Sometimes useful tools, but we've never needed them for exploring or learning or creating. We've always done our best work when we were free to follow our curiosity. Zephyrus studied the young human. In her ancient life, she had met thousands of species leaders,